Sometimes we expect that if someone is truly interested in us, they're going to show up with fireworks, a marching band, and a declaration worthy of a rom-com finale. And because of that expectation, we miss the little things, the real signals, that someone is quietly, patiently showing they're willing to wait for us. The truth is, most people who are worth our time don't announce their feelings in big, cinematic moments. They reveal themselves in subtler, far more telling ways. It's the way he remembers the smallest details about you. Something you said in passing weeks ago, about how you can't start your morning without that very specific brand of coffee, or how a certain song reminds you of a childhood memory. He tucks it away, and one day it shows up in conversation again, almost like he's been holding onto it. Not because he was trying to score points, but because he actually cares. That kind of attention, it's not about strategy, it's about genuine interest. He's not just listening to respond, he's listening to keep you. Think about how he reaches out, not in a way that demands your time or pushes you into a corner, but in these steady, consistent check-ins. Maybe it's a quick message to see how your big meeting went, or a just wanted to say here, text without an agenda. He's not playing games, he's not disappearing for 3 days and then resurfacing with an over-the-top compliment. He's there. He's showing you, without saying it outright, I'm here and I'm still thinking about you. And that kind of consistency, that's the language of someone who's in this for the long haul. Sometimes it's not even about words. It's the way he shows up for you in the moments that matter. If you're going through something stressful, maybe you're not feeling your best, maybe you've got too much on your plate, he's not trying to fix it all, but he's present. He sends that quick note that says, you've got this, or checks in later to ask how you're holding up. He's not trying to make himself the hero of your story. He just wants you to know that whatever's happening, you don't have to go through it alone. And here's the part a lot of people miss: patience isn't flashy. It's not always obvious. In fact, the people who are truly willing to wait for you are often the ones you could overlook at first, because they're not forcing their presence into your life. But that quiet patience, those subtle signals, are worth more than any dramatic gesture, because they come from a place of self-assurance. He doesn't need to pressure you into moving faster. He's confident enough to let things unfold at the right pace, and that confidence makes him even more attractive. There's also a kind of respect in the way he approaches you. You can feel that he's tuned in to where you are emotionally, and instead of trying to speed things up to fit his own timeline, he adjusts to yours. Maybe you've been a little distant because you're processing something in your life. He doesn't panic, he doesn't guilt-trip you. He gives you space, but he keeps the thread alive. That balance, being present without being overbearing, isn't easy to pull off, but when someone does it, you feel safe, you feel seen. And the funny thing about these subtle signals is that they're easy to dismiss when you're not looking for them. You might even misinterpret them as just being nice. But if you really stop and pay attention, you'll notice a pattern. This isn't casual kindness. It's deliberate. It's sustained. It's someone quietly, steadily showing you that your comfort and your pace matter more to them than their own impatience. I've seen so many people overlook these kinds of gestures because they're chasing intensity, the whirlwind romance, the grand gestures, the instant connection that feels like a movie montage. But here's the reality: whirlwind romances burn out as quickly as they spark. The slow, steady presence of someone who's willing to wait for you, that's the foundation for something lasting. And if you're lucky enough to find someone like that, it's worth recognizing the value in those moments that seem small but mean everything. Because in the end, it's not the guy who comes charging in with fireworks that you can count on. It's the one who quietly holds space for you, day after day, even when you don't notice he's doing it. That's the one who's telling you, without ever saying the words, "I'm not going anywhere." One of the biggest mistakes people make when they're trying to figure out if someone is serious about them is that they focus on the intensity of the moments instead of the consistency over time. We live in a world where we've been trained to think that love should look like an instant spark, a grand romantic gesture, or this all-consuming passion that sweeps us off our feet. And don't get me wrong, intensity can feel amazing. It's exciting, it's intoxicating, and it's easy to get carried away in the rush of it. But here's the thing, intensity is a sprinter. It comes on strong, but it's not built to last. What really matters, what tells you someone is truly waiting for you, is consistency. When someone is consistent, they're not just showing up on their best days, when it's easy, when they're in the mood, or when they want something from you. They're showing up on the normal days, the busy days, the days when you're both tired or stressed. It's that reliable rhythm of connection that tells you they're not just chasing the high of newness. They're building something, and building something takes patience, attention, and effort over time. You can see this difference in how someone communicates. Intense people often come in with a flurry of messages, big compliments, and passionate declarations in the beginning, and then vanish when life gets in the way. Consistent people, they're not trying to impress you with volume, they're showing you with regularity. They might not send you 20 texts in a row, but they'll send you one every day, every week, every time they said they would. They're not just keeping the spark alive. They're making sure you know they're still here, even when things aren't exciting or dramatic. And the reason consistency is so powerful is because it removes doubt. Intensity can make you feel amazing in the moment, but leave you questioning everything when it disappears. Consistency gives you stability. It's the difference between wondering if you'll hear from him and knowing you will, between feeling like you're auditioning for his attention and feeling secure that you already have it. That feeling of security is where trust begins to grow, and without trust, no relationship, no matter how passionate, can survive for long. Now, sometimes we mistake a lack of intensity for a lack of interest, and that's where we can sabotage ourselves. We think, well, if he's not making grand romantic gestures, maybe he doesn't really care. But that's often not the case at all. In fact, the men who are most serious about you might be the ones who are less flashy and more steady. They're not trying to sweep you off your feet just to drop you later. They're trying to meet you where you are and show you, over time, that they're safe to lean on. And let's be honest, consistency isn't always glamorous. It's not a surprise trip to Paris or a candlelit dinner on a rooftop. Sometimes it's a text that says, "Hope your meeting went well today," or the fact that he always follows through on what he says he'll do, even in the smallest ways. It's the call he makes when he said he would. It's him remembering to check in about something you mentioned days ago. These might seem like small, almost boring things, but when you add them up over weeks and months, they paint a very clear picture of someone's intentions. Consistency also shows you who someone really is, because anyone can be amazing for a weekend. Anyone can be charming for the first month. But it's only with time that you get to see if their actions match their words. If he says he's interested but disappears for stretches of time without explanation, that's not consistency. That's convenience. But if he says he's interested and proves it with steady, ongoing actions, that's someone who's serious. And that's the person you should be paying attention to. One of the most telling things about consistency is that it's rooted in respect. If he respects you and your time, he's not going to leave you wondering. He's going to communicate. He's going to show you that you matter enough for him to make you a priority, not just an option. And when someone treats you like a priority over a long period of time, that's when you start to feel not just wanted, but valued. The reality is, consistency isn't as exciting to our dopamine, hungry brains as intensity is. We get hooked on the highs, and we forget to pay attention to the patterns. But the patterns are everything, because when the initial spark fades, and it always does, what's left is the foundation you've built together. If that foundation is made of consistency, it will hold. If it's built only on intensity, it will crumble. So, if you're looking at a man and wondering whether he's waiting for you, don't just ask yourself how intensely he makes you feel today. Ask yourself, is he showing up in the same way, over and over, in a way that makes me feel secure? Because if he is, that's worth more than any whirlwind romance you could dream up. That's someone who's not just trying to win you for a moment. He's showing you he's ready to be there for the long run. One of the most beautiful signs that someone is willing to wait for you is when they know how to give you space without disappearing. And that's a rare skill because most people struggle to strike that balance. They either come on so strong that you feel smothered, or they back off so much that you start wondering if they've lost interest altogether. But when a man is genuinely waiting for you, when he's interested in something real, he learns how to be present without crowding you. This kind of presence feels different. It's not about constant attention or filling every moment with interaction. It's about the subtle way he stays connected while still letting you live your life. He understands that your time, your priorities, your emotional space are important. He knows you have your own world to manage: work, friendships, family, personal goals. And instead of trying to wedge himself into every spare second, he lets you breathe. And yet, you never doubt that he's still there. It's like when someone is in the same room as you, but isn't talking, and you still feel their energy. That's the kind of space I'm talking about. He's not chasing you down every second, but his presence is felt in the way he checks in just enough to show he cares. Maybe it's a quick text that says, "Hope your day's going well," or a simple, "Thinking of you." He's not demanding a reply right away. He's not keeping score. He's just dropping a little marker to let you know you're on his mind. And here's the important part. He's not doing it as a test. He's not thinking, if she doesn't reply within an hour, I'm out. He's secure enough to understand that people are busy, that you might be in the middle of something, and that your slower response doesn't mean your feelings have changed. That's where a lot of people go wrong. They interpret space as rejection. But when someone's truly waiting for you, they interpret space as respect. There's also an emotional maturity in knowing that closeness isn't built by being glued together all the time. In fact, the healthiest relationships often involve two people who can stand on their own but choose to come together. If a man can give you space while staying emotionally available, he's showing you that he values who you are as an individual, not just what you can give him in the moment. That's a powerful message. It says, I like you for you, not just for the attention you give me. Think about how that feels compared to someone who panics the second you're a little distant. That kind of person will often ramp up their attention to pull you back in. Not because they're trying to connect in a healthy way, but because they can't handle the idea of you having autonomy. It's not romantic, it's insecure. The man who can give you space without losing his connection to you. That's the opposite. That's someone who's grounded enough to let you move at your own pace without making it about his ego. Sometimes that space is exactly what allows you to see him more clearly. When you don't feel pressured, you're able to notice the quiet ways he's showing up for you. You realize that even in the gaps between conversations, there's no sense of him drifting away. He's steady. He's dependable. You could go a day without talking, and when you do connect again, it feels natural, like picking up a conversation mid-sentence. That kind of rhythm only happens when someone's secure enough to let the connection breathe. And I'll tell you something else. Space creates longing. If he's always right there, if he's filling every single gap, you don't get a chance to miss him. But when there's a little room between you, you get to feel that spark of anticipation. You get to think about him, to wonder what he's doing. And when you finally hear from him again, it's exciting. That excitement is a lot more sustainable than the intensity of constant contact, which can burn out quickly. Now, giving space without disappearing also means he knows how to keep a thread alive. He might not be in your messages every hour, but he remembers to follow up on things you've told him. He's aware of what's going on in your life, and he weaves that awareness into your conversations. It's those little reminders. Hey, how was that dinner with your sister? Or, did you ever hear back from that job? That let you know he's still tuned in. It's worth saying that this balance isn't something everyone can do. It takes confidence. It takes self-awareness. And it takes someone who's not looking for instant gratification, but for the long-term picture. A man who's waiting for you isn't trying to fill every quiet moment. He's trying to build something that lasts through the quiet moments. He knows that space doesn't weaken the connection. It strengthens it, because it's a sign of trust on both sides. When you find someone like that, you feel it. You feel lighter because you're not carrying the weight of someone else's insecurities. You feel respected because he's not trying to control your time or your emotions. And you feel wanted, not because he's suffocating you with attention, but because he's letting you come toward him at your own pace, knowing full well that you will, because someone who's truly waiting for you understands that love isn't built in the rush. It's built in the rhythm. There's a big difference between someone who's protective and someone who's possessive, and if you've ever been on the receiving end of the latter, you know how exhausting and suffocating it can feel. Or when a man is truly waiting for you, when his intentions are genuine, his care doesn't come with strings attached. He's protective in a way that makes you feel safe, not trapped. He's looking out for you without trying to control you. And that difference matters more than most people realize. A protective man will make sure you get home safely after a night out. But he's not going to interrogate you about every person you spoke to while you were there. He'll encourage you to take that work trip, that solo vacation, or to spend time with friends, because he trusts you and wants you to live your life fully. A possessive man, on the other hand, will try to wrap you in bubble wrap, not because he cares about your safety, but because he's afraid of losing control. One feels like love. The other feels like a cage. When someone's protective in a healthy way, it's rooted in respect and confidence. He's not protecting you because he thinks you're incapable. He's protecting you because he values you. There's a subtle but important shift in energy there. His actions say, I want the best for you, and I'll do what I can to help you feel secure, rather than, I want to control what you do so I can feel secure. One builds trust, the other erodes it. And here's the thing, when a man is possessive, he's often trying to meet his own needs at your expense. He's not really thinking about what's best for you. He's thinking about what makes him feel better. But when someone's protective in the right way, it's the opposite. His focus is on your well-being, your happiness, and your peace of mind. That's why you never feel like you owe him something in return. His care is given freely. You might notice it in small moments. You're walking together at night, and without making a big deal out of it, he switches sides so he's between you and the street. You're going through a rough week, and he offers to take something off your plate. Not because he thinks you can't handle it, but because he wants to make things a little easier for you. He's not using these gestures to score points or to make himself look good. They're just a natural part of how he operates. Possessiveness, on the other hand, often disguises itself as care at first. It can look like constant check-ins, wanting to know where you are all the time, or insisting on making decisions for you. Because it's for your own good. At first, you might even mistake it for deep interest. But over time, you start to feel the difference. You realize it's not about protecting you. It's about controlling you. And once you feel that, it stops being romantic and starts feeling like a warning sign. A man who's waiting for you in the right way doesn't need to control your environment to feel secure. He's confident enough to let you move through the world on your own terms, knowing that if the connection is real, you'll choose to share it with him. His protectiveness shows up as a net beneath you, not a cage around you. You know it's there if you fall, but it doesn't restrict your movement or your choices. And that confidence is part of what makes him so attractive. You can tell he's not operating from fear. He's not competing for your attention with your friends, your work, or your passions. He's not trying to shrink your world so he can occupy all of it. Instead, he supports the idea that your world should be big, vibrant, and full of experiences, even ones that don't include him every second. That kind of protectiveness creates an environment where you feel safe enough to be vulnerable. You know he's got your back without needing to constantly prove it. And when you do face challenges, whether it's an awkward family situation, a stressful career decision, or a personal struggle, he's there, not to take over, but to stand beside you. That's the mark of someone who respects your independence while still showing up as a partner. One of the best ways to tell the difference is to ask yourself, do I feel freer because of his presence, or do I feel more restricted? If you feel freer, if you feel like you can be more yourself, take more risks, and explore more of life because you know someone's looking out for you. That's healthy protectiveness. If you feel like you're walking on eggshells or constantly explaining yourself, that's possession. And possession has nothing to do with love. It's about insecurity dressed up as care. A man who is truly waiting for you isn't afraid of the world having access to you. He's not worried about you meeting new people or pursuing new opportunities because he knows that the bond you're building isn't fragile. His protectiveness doesn't limit you. It empowers you. It makes you feel like you can step out into the world even more boldly because there's someone in your corner quietly watching out for you. Because real care doesn't try to keep you small, it gives you the confidence to stand even taller. When a man is truly waiting for you, one of the clearest signs is that he invests in your world. And I don't mean just in the romantic sense. Anyone can invest in the version of you that's dressed up, laughing at dinner, and flirting across the table. I mean the deeper kind of investment, the kind where he takes the time to understand the parts of your life that don't revolve around him at all. It's in the way he asks about the things that light you up, not just, "How was your day?" but, "How's that project you've been working on?" Or, "Did you ever figure out the ending to that story you were writing?" He's not trying to fill silence with small talk. He's genuinely curious. He wants to know what you're passionate about, what keeps you awake at night in the best way, what makes you lose track of time when you're doing it. And more than that, he remembers these things. The next time you talk, he follows up, not because it's a strategy, but because it matters to him that it matters to you. It's not just your passions he invests in. He pays attention to the people who matter to you, too. He learns your best friend's name, remembers little stories you've told about your family, even asks about that colleague you've been mentoring. And when he does meet these people, you can see that he's not just being polite, he's actively engaged. He knows these are the people who shape your world, and he wants to understand them because they're part of you. There's a real difference between someone who's curious about your world and someone who's just curious about you. The first kind wants to see you in context. They understand that who you are isn't just what they experience when you're together. It's the sum of your relationships, your ambitions, your history, your routines. The second kind just wants the highlight reel. They're there for the fun moments, but they're not looking for the deeper layers. When a man invests in your world, it shows in how he reacts when life gets messy. If your schedule suddenly gets hectic because of a big work deadline, he doesn't pull away because he's not getting as much attention. He doesn't make you feel guilty for being unavailable. Instead, he asks how he can support you, even if that means stepping back for a few days while you handle things. He understands that your life isn't always going to revolve around him, and that's okay, because he's looking at the bigger picture. This kind of investment is also about patience. Maybe you've told him about a long-term goal you're working toward. Career change, a degree, a personal milestone. And he's not rushing you to get there, so you can be more available for him. He's willing to be part of the journey, even if it means waiting through the long, unglamorous parts. And along the way, he's celebrating your wins, big and small. He's not just waiting for the grand finale, he's showing up for the middle chapters. You'll feel it in the way he listens too. He's not just nodding along so he can bring the conversation back to himself. He's absorbing the details, asking follow-up questions, and sometimes even remembering things you forgot you mentioned. It's subtle, but it's powerful, because it tells you he's not just hearing your words, he's hearing you. And here's something that often gets overlooked when someone invests in your world. They're willing to make the effort to fit into it, not just expect you to fit into theirs. If you have traditions, hobbies, or events that are important to you, he doesn't treat them like optional extras. He makes space for them. And maybe he's not a morning person, but he'll wake up early to join you for that weekend hike you love. Maybe he's never been into art, but he'll happily come to the gallery opening you've been looking forward to. It's not about pretending to like everything you like. It's about respecting that these things matter to you, so they matter to him. What's interesting is that when someone invests in your world, they're also showing you a lot about their own readiness for a relationship. It takes maturity to recognize that loving someone isn't just about enjoying the moments you spend together. It's about understanding and respecting the entire life that person lives when you're not there. And when he makes that effort, he's telling you, I'm not just here for the romance. I'm here for the reality. The truth is, anyone can be charming in isolated moments. But the man who takes the time to learn your world is telling you he's in this for more than the thrill of the chase. He's telling you he's willing to step into the real, full version of your life, not just the parts that are convenient or easy. And that kind of investment is one of the clearest signs that he's not just interested in being with you. He's interested in truly knowing you. Because when someone is willing to learn your world, they're telling you they want to belong in it. One of the clearest signs a man is truly waiting for you is in his emotional readiness. Because waiting isn't just about time. It's about where he's at mentally and emotionally while he's giving you that time. Someone can say they're willing to wait, but if they're restless, impatient, and constantly trying to push you forward faster than you're ready to go, that's not really waiting. That's stalling in frustration until they get what they want. Real waiting has a very different energy. When a man is emotionally ready, he understands that the relationship can't be built on pressure. He knows that the pace you're comfortable with is as important as his own feelings, and he's not going to try to override that just to ease his own impatience. This doesn't mean he doesn't want more with you. It means he wants more in the right way, at the right time. And because of that, he's able to meet you where you are, without resentment. That kind of emotional readiness comes from knowing who he is and what he wants. He's not using you to fill a void or to prove something to himself. He's not clinging to you out of fear of being alone. He's already whole without you, which means he can choose to be with you, not need to be with you to feel okay. That difference matters because someone who needs you for their sense of worth is far more likely to push you, rush you, or guilt you into moving faster than you're ready for. You see this emotional readiness in how he handles moments of uncertainty. Maybe you tell him you're not ready to define the relationship yet, or that you want to focus on certain things in your life before taking a bigger step. Instead of pulling away or making it into a big emotional scene, he listens. He asks questions to understand, not to change your mind. And then he continues to show up consistently. Because for him, your pace isn't a threat. When someone is emotionally ready, they also understand that a relationship is a partnership, not a rescue mission. They're not here to fix you, and they're not expecting you to fix them. They're here to grow alongside you, which means they respect that you might need time for certain things to develop. They're not thinking, how do I make this happen now? They're thinking, how do I make sure we're both ready when it does happen? And it's not just patience. It's emotional stability. He's not yoing between extremes, giving you affection one day and pulling away the next, because his emotions got the better of him. He's steady. You don't feel like you have to manage his moods or walk on eggshells around him. That steadiness is what allows you to feel safe enough to let the connection grow naturally. Sometimes the emotional readiness also means he's been through enough in his life to know the value of pacing. Maybe he's rushed before and seen it fall apart. Maybe he's learned that what lasts is built slowly, with mutual understanding and trust. So instead of seeing your need for time as an obstacle, he sees it as a healthy sign that you want to do this right. It's also worth noting that emotional readiness isn't about being perfect. It's not about never feeling impatient or never wanting to move things forward. It's about how he handles those feelings when they come up. The man who's truly waiting for you doesn't try to manipulate you into speeding things up. He doesn't withdraw his attention to test you. He doesn't make you feel like you're losing him just because you're not ready yet. Instead, he channels that energy into being present, into deepening the connection you already have. There's a quiet confidence in that approach. He's not afraid of losing you because he knows the connection you're building isn't fragile, it's growing stronger with time. He's not keeping score of how long it's taking or comparing your pace to someone else's. He's tuned into you, not a timeline. And that's a rare kind of patience, because it comes from a place of genuine care, not just desire. The truth is, emotional readiness is what allows someone to actually wait without it feeling like waiting. When a man is truly ready, he's not sitting there with his arms crossed, counting down the days. He's living life alongside you, making memories, building trust, enjoying the journey. And when you're ready to take that next step, it doesn't feel like he's been holding his breath the whole time. It feels like you've been walking there together at exactly the right pace. Because when someone's willing to match your pace without losing sight of where they want to go, that's not just waiting. That's commitment in its purest form.